freedom and personal choice. I get to choose what I want to do. And there's this phrase, this quotation I saw somewhere. It says, you design the environment so people self-select out of life. I'll read that again. You design the environment so people self-select out of life. And the feeling good about it, this is, this is independent me. This is the free woman. This is the free man. I got a life to live, and marriage is not part of it. I think we should be more proactive in living out the essential nature of marriage and stop shortchanging the purposes of God that would be carried out only through marriage. As usual, God did this purpose in a beautiful way. He did it such that you even want it. But because of the society we live in now, it's like, I can push that aside. And of course, Satan has provided other alternatives to what God intended to happen only in marriage, right? So for us as the church, for us as the light, we need to be proactive in living out the elemental, essential nature of marriage to life and to God's purposes. Marriage is the default, not the option. It is not the option. It is not the exception. Marriage is the default. And I'm thankful that Ekwa Seminary Church, for one, is very proactive about keeping it as uncomplicated as possible and making it easy for us to achieve this major purpose of God. So our second mini truth is that marriage is foundational. Truth number 3. The woman was made for the man. Same verse 18 says, I will make a helper suitable for him. It is just that clear. In fact, in case we are tempted to say, it's both ways now, woman is made for man, man is made for woman, it makes it very clear in 1 Corinthians 11:79, especially verse 9. It says, neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man and his glory. Christian wife, you are made for your husband. I am made for my husband. In fact, my purpose as a Christian wife is for my husband. And it is not vice versa. It's hard. Yes, it is hard. But you see, this should not make us go under the table. It should not make us cringe. It is a beautiful picture of God and his creation. The woman was created to help the man. Humans were created for what? What's the purpose of humans? What is our one purpose in life as humans in relation to our Creator? To worship him, to please him. We are created for his pleasure. The church is created for Christ. So can you see how God is showing this in many different ways? Humans for God, the church for Christ, the wife, let's say it, the wife. My sisters, the wife. Thank you, thank you. Moving away from this purpose of pleasing God is at the heart of the problem of sin. That's it. That's the heart of it. Moving away from pleasing God to pleasing myself. That is at the heart of sin. In the same way, moving away from the purpose of the wife being made to help her husband is at the root of many issues today. So we now go to the question, what is she helping her husband with? Earlier, we see that in Genesis chapter 1, we didn't go into that, I won't go into that. We see that man and woman are created in God's image, yes? Yes, so same image bearing. There's no superiority or inferiority, no. The dominion God gave over his creation is shared. It is shared. He gave them dominion. And then the mandate to be fruitful is jointly owned. And I like that. Doesn't that make you smile? Yes, it does. It makes me smile. So back to the question, what is the Christian wife helping her husband with? Is it the work of tending the garden? Not primarily. That work was given to the man. He said, God picked Adam and put him to tend the garden. So that's not the point. Helping with the garden, oh, he will do the digging while she does the weeding. No, that's not the point. It could be part of it, but that's not the main point. The main point was who she was, who Eve was to Adam. Adam's woman, Adam's wife. It is about being. It is who she is. It is about being. And out of that being will come the different doings. The specifics of the helping might be different, but the principle is the same. I am my husband's wife. It's a being thing. It is who I am. Here again, we see another mirror, right? Mirror of our reality in Christ. We are called to be first. We're called to be first and foremost, and out of that flows the doing. Ephesians 2:10. I think I will have us read this. Ephesians 2:10, please. Ephesians 2:10. If you see it, please stand up and read out loud. Ephesians 2:10.
So that his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand, that we should walk in them.
Thank you. First, workmanship, and then we do good works. So same thing. First, I am his wife, and then from that, we can now go into the things I need to do. That is being truth number 3. Okay. Woman is made for the man. I need you to think, what are some lies that we hear around this, that this truth now exposes? Okay, I think we are moving on. Okay, so I'll pause here a bit and let's have a bit of talking. First, our first truth was what? Who wants to remind us? What is the first truth? Sorry, I'm a teacher, so what's the first truth? Thank you. So woman is more, right? Woman is fearfully and wonderfully made. Was anybody able to come up with a lie that this destroys and wants to share? Yes. Ah, woman is not enough. Woman is not enough. And we can go off on that. But woman is actually more. Woman is more. Truth number 2, marriage is foundational. Did you come up with a lie that this deals with? I mean, why should I marry? I can have a child. I can take care of the child. I don't need a man. All of that. So freedom. It is freedom not to be married. In fact, another lie is that marriage just spoils everything, right? And your friends, your really good friends, and suddenly you want to get married and everything spoils. That is a lie. Marriage is foundational and it is a beautiful thing created by God. Truth number 3. Her for him. What is one lie that deals with? Because that's what the truth does, right? It exposes the lie. Anybody? You are your own. I am my own person. My body, my choice. My life, my choice. Day your day. Okay? Or it is equal. If I'm for you, then you are also for me, kind of thing. I'm made for you, you're made for me, which in a sense is true. But foundationally, the woman is made for the man. Okay, so we'll move on to our truth number 2. And this is where I would have us read another scripture. Genesis chapter 3. It's a long reading. Genesis chapter 3, 1 to 7. Thank you.
Now the serpent was more crafty than any of the wild animals the Lord God had made. He said to the woman, "Did God really say, you must not eat from any tree in the garden?" The woman said to the serpent, "We may eat fruit from the trees of the garden, but God did say, you must not eat fruit from the tree that is in the middle of the garden, and you must not touch it, or you will die." "You will not certainly die," the serpent said to the woman. "For God knows that when you eat from it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." But the woman saw that the fruit of the tree was good for food and pleasing to the eye, and also desirable for gaining knowledge. She took some and ate it. She also gave some to her husband, who was with her, and he ate it. Then the eyes of both of them were opened, and they realized they were naked. So they sewed fig leaves together and made coverings for themselves.
Thank you. Someone said the first temptation in the history of the world was the temptation to focus on lack and disregard abundance. We'll get to that. But our first part of truth 2 is this. Even though the passage is dark and heartbreaking, God's truth still shines through. Eve was given to Adam to help him, but she usurped his place. She took over. Even though we're still experiencing the fallout of that, God did not change his order to suit the situation. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil was in the middle of the garden, yes? It was in the middle of the garden, which, like the guy who said something about the temptation, first temptation, means you had to go past, basically ignore all these other trees. In fact, he said, "No, I don't want this. No, not this mango. No, guava. No cashew. No this, no that." You're passing all of that. You are ignoring all of that to get to that just that one that I am not supposed to take. So it is about emphasizing the scarceness and despising the surplus. I'll take that again. It is about emphasizing the scarceness and despising the surplus. It is very easy for me to know my husband does not love me, or the ways he does not show love, rather than on the ways he's showing love. So it's very easy. For me, I don't know about you, it is very easy. Okay, boy, he hasn't done this, he hasn't done this, he hasn't done this. I could keep either complaining about this or find ways to help him grow in loving me. Let's move on. In verse 6, we see that Eve started seeing the fruit differently from how she was seeing it before. It was like, poof, the light came on. One, it was good for food. That was the first thing she saw. Okay. What's special? All the other trees were good for food, right? So why this one? It was pleasing to the eyes. Okay, nice. But once again, nothing special. In fact, there is a verse, I think in chapter 1, that says, and God created all these different fruits that were good for food and pleasing to the eyes. So all the other trees were also pleasing to the eyes. What was it about this? The real attraction was this. It promised wisdom. Sisters, does that sound like, you know how secret things are sweet to the ears, right? She will know things, deep secret things. So she saw. And my question is, how am I seeing? How are we seeing? What is lighting up our eyes? Psalm 36 verse 9 says, for with you is the fountain of life. In your light we see light. And that's a prayer I pray again and again. Lord, let me see light in your light. Because there are all kinds of lights. Because her eyes lit up, right? And she began to see the fruit differently. How am I seeing? How are you seeing? Well, another question I want us to try and look at is, what is it that made the woman a target? In other words, what window did Satan come through? Because that's what he does, right? He looks for openings. He doesn't come through the door. He's not the shepherd. He looks for loopholes and footholds. And one possibility is that woman wants more. She's more, right? So she wants more. She's wired to make things better, it seems. A woman comes in and takes over, and everything begins to pop. That's what we are. That's what we are. That's how we are made. Praise the Lord for that. Yes. We want things to be. Our question is this all there is to it? Can it not be better? That is woman. So that's not a problem. Woman is also a curious being. Oh, yes. And maybe that's where the gossip comes in, right? We want to know. We want to see. I want to know. I want to know, like, next year where I will be. Woman is a curious being. And that's not exactly a bad thing. Is it, my husband? So those were not the problems, I think. I think the real problem was that Satan switched God's order and Eve followed along. Satan asked her a question and she responded. She basically became spokesperson for the family. Who is supposed to be the spokesperson? It was Adam. He got the command. He was responsible and all of that. But she became spokesperson. Could she have shared this with Adam? Could she have said, whatever she called him, Adamu, this is what is going on in my head, what do you think? Or even if she doesn't say, what do you think? Just sharing, this is what's going on in my mind. We don't know what his response would have been. Maybe he would not have answered. Does that sound familiar? Yeah. Maybe he would not have answered. Or maybe he would have risen up to the occasion and guided her back to seeing things properly. We don't know because she did not ask. What did she do instead? She responded and began to speak for the family. She made a decision that this is the path my family will take. She broke a clear command into practical benefits. What was the command? Do not eat. What were the practical benefits? Oh, it's good for food, it's pleasing to the eyes, and it will make me wise. Those are practical benefits. She took the fruit and gave to her husband. So the first one, she ate first. Oh, this is nice, and gives to her husband. I watched a video clip of a Denzel Washington movie, Fences, where the wife said this with tears running down her face and with, that kind of crying that you're not even bothered about the mucus coming out. She said this, I took all my feelings, my wants and needs, my dreams, and I buried them inside you. She was saying this to her husband. I planted a seed and watched and prayed over it. I planted myself inside you and waited to bloom. And it didn't take me not 18 years to find out the soil was hard and rocky and it wasn't never gonna bloom. That was really sad to watch. But then I was reminded that it's not the woman's job to plant herself. She is the soil. She's the receiver. He is the husbandman. He's the one who would plant things and have them grow. So she got it all twisted. This woman got it all twisted. Why are you planting yourself when he should be doing the planting? So don't carry loads God has not given you, Christian wife. Don't carry loads God has not given you. So my question is, what am I being that is not part of the original design? Are there responsibilities and roles that are my husband's that I have decided to take over? And don't get me wrong, there are 1,001 reasons why I will do that. We can be very impatient. We can be like, no, I can't let things slide like this. They're all of that. But remember, we're saying living by the truth, right? That is our point. That's our goal, living by the truth. I'm thankful that when God came, he didn't say, Eve, come here. No, 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 no. He had given the order. Man is in charge. Man is the head. The devil came, switched it, and Eve followed. But when God came, what did he do? He went right back to what he had instituted. He came to the man. Order had not changed. Man is responsible. And one thing else I noticed from our reading was that even with all the cursing he was cursing, he did not touch the essence of marriage. He did not say, oh man, because you've refused to take responsibility, you are no longer head. No, he remains head. There's nothing we can do about that. And for me, that is a relief because God's purposes do not change. The husband is in charge. So once again, think about it, a lie that this truth deals with, and write it down as we move on. Being truths. 1, focus on the abundance of what God has provided rather than on what we think he hasn't done, which is the easier thing to do. Truth number 2. As a Christian wife, kind of reminds me of what Paul said. If you have a question, ask your husband at home. That's what he said, right? So it's my place to ask questions, ask my husband questions, not be the spokesperson, not the spokesman for the family. And then just to wrap it up, man is in charge. The husband is in charge. So we'll now move on from the broad principles to specifics. That is why we'll be moving to the doing truths now. We'll be moving to the doing truths. So if the Christian wife is helper and not the head, how does she carry out the responsibility of helper? What does living by this truth look like? What is the doing that comes from being all the things we have seen that she is? What is the doing that comes from being a helper? So how do I help? And we're going to be looking at it in 2 major doing ways. Both of them are related, but we'll try and tease them apart. The first way the Christian wife is helper, the first way the Christian wife lives by the truth of being helper is by submitting. Ephesians 5:22 says, submit to your own husband. Not every man. No, I'm not helper to every man. I'm helper to my husband. I am submitting to him. Not like Eve, who did not submit to her husband, but instead submitted to, who did she submit to? Satan. Submit like Sarah, not the one who made her husband take Hagar, not that Sarah part, right? The other Sarah. The one who, when Abraham was called and he did not know where he was going, followed. Did you know what that means? He just up and go? How? But Sarah submitted. She followed into the unknown. I cannot, boast that is me. Because I need to know, I need to see the plan. But thankfully, I am growing in trusting even when it does not make sense. Because that's what submission is about, right? That's why you see the girl there is handing over. These are my qualifications. This is me. This is my life. Handing it over. That is submission. That's one reason a quiet spirit is so important. It takes a quiet spirit to submit. A quiet spirit trusts instead of giving in to fear. 1 Peter 3:3-5 says, part of it, the inner disposition of your heart, the unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is precious in God's sight. And this is where I have the emphasis. For this is how the holy women who hoped in God used to adorn themselves by submitting to their own husbands, as Sarah obeyed Abraham. And it goes on. And then, and you are her children if you do good, and I emphasized it there, do not fear anything that is frightening. There are a lot of things to fear. There are a lot of things for women to fear. But one who submits, one who has grown a quiet and gentle spirit, has learned to hope in God, not hope in the husband, no, not hope in the husband, hope in God, and therefore submit to the husband, not fearing anything that is frightening. We kind of remember this, but do we also remember that Father Abraham was the same one who pushed his babe into the fire? We remember? Do we remember when he did that? Tell them you're my sister. That was not very brave of him, was it? That was certainly not lordly of him. And so when Sarah calls him my Lord, it's not because he was perfect. No. And no, you don't know my husband. Well, even Daddy Abraham was not perfect. Even Daddy Abraham was not always brave. So, for the Christian wife, respect for her husband is not earned. It is given. That is the truth. It is not, oh, if he does this and this and this, then you respect him. If he does this and this and this, you give it to him, I suppose. No. For the Christian wife, and this is tough, for the Christian wife, respect for her husband is already earned by reason of his being her husband. So we have the saying, respect is not given, it is earned. No, for the husband, it's different. He's already earned it. So I put my hope in God and therefore submit to my husband. Another picture I have in mind is Psalm 131, verse 2, where the psalmist said, but I have calmed and quieted my soul like a weaned child with its mother. Like a weaned child is my soul within me. The picture of quiet trust that makes submission possible. John Piper defines submission as an inclination of the will to say yes to the husband's leadership and a disposition of the spirit to support his initiatives. Submission is saying yes. So first, submission comes out of hope in God. And secondly, submission is saying yes. From that first, so somebody, they'll say, we've found a flower in your house, and then they'll call you to come, and you say, yes, he's the one. From that first yes, It is yes, yes, and yes. Yes to the direction he's headed. Yes to his authority. Yes to his teaching. Submission comes out of hope in God, one. Two, submission is saying yes. And thirdly, submission is releasing yourself to and clinging to your husband's support. Kind of like the picture we have in Psalm 128, verse 3. I think it was last Thanksgiving that we got that exposition. Your wife will be like a fruitful vine within your house. Why vine? Vine is clingy. Vine is dependent. That sounds terrible. We are independent, strong black women, aren't we? Or is it strong, independent black women? Well, one of them, is it whichever. But there's independent, there's strong, there's black woman in it. That's so much easier on our pride. And I am, I can do it by myself. I don't need. But submission has that element of dependence. I submit to his leadership and receive his guidance. I receive sustenance, guidance, and alertness from him as my head. So I present my ideas to him, and I'm not running off doing my own thing. I'm not necessarily talking about taking permission. No, he trusts me to do things, right? But all my doing and my growing comes out of that place of submission to him. So that no matter how high, how tall I grow, have you seen anybody but a monster who grows beyond their head? No. So I come from that place of submission. We're not running parallel kingdoms, are we? There was this video of Nyangsang and Herbert where she said in her business, her husband is her chief consultant. She seeks him out on almost every business decision she needs to make. That's part of submission. And that's beautiful. But not every businesswoman has an economist husband, right? But every Christian woman can find ways to show beautiful, empowering submission. Giving suggestions and making my point clear and letting him make the final decision and supporting him in it. So once again, another mirror of how God calls us to a life of dependence on him. So submission is not slavery. Submission does not come from a place of weakness. No. In fact, it comes from that place of knowing who you are and laying it out of hope in God. So that's the first way the Christian woman lives by the truth, by submitting. The second way she carries out her responsibility of helper is by actually helping. And that has two sides to it. The doing truth, the actual helping, the actual supporting comes in two ways. The first one is this. You help by taking care of yourself. Remember yourself down. You take care of yourself for him. Why is this hard to do? I mean, it's natural for you to take care of yourself, right? But you see, women are nurturers by nature. Women are givers by nature. That's probably why Eve gave. She didn't eat it all by herself. She gave. Women are givers. We give and give and give. True or false? Women are givers. We can give everything. Oh, let the children just eat. We can gather the things in the plate and eat the rest. We have no problems with that. So it's difficult to forget that I need to take care of myself because I'm not my own. I am not my own. Would I make sacrifices? Definitely. But my life is not a sacrifice. My life is to live for him, not to sacrifice myself for him. Who is supposed to sacrifice for the other? It's a man. It's a man who says, love as Christ loved and gave himself, right? My own job is to live optimally for him. So am I tired? Put your feet up and rest. You are his crown. You need to take care of his crown. That's why we have there. Go for glow. Go for glow. You need to take care of yourself for him. My husband used to remind me that, if you break down, everything in the house will just come to a standstill. So please, for our sake, can you not overstress yourself? Take care of yourself, woman. Christian woman, it is a truth. Take care of yourself emotionally, mentally, physically, everywise, spiritually. Proverbs 12:4 points out that the wife of noble character is a crown for her husband. What is this noble character we're talking about? One major strand of the noble character is speaking truth. The Christian woman does not only live the truth, she speaks truth to her husband. Sarah noticed something that was going to have far-reaching consequences, and she said, the son of the slave woman will not possess things with my son. And what did God tell Abraham? He said, listen to her. So she spoke truth. She noticed something and spoke up, even though she caused it in the first place, right? God told Abraham to listen to Sarah. Proverbs 31:26 describes the woman of noble character. He says she opens her mouth with wisdom. That is deliberate action. When she speaks, her words are wise. With her husband, Samson's mother had to encourage her husband, no, if he was going to kill us, he would not have done this. Her husband was like, oh, we are dead. And the woman had to speak encouragement to her husband. So she speaks words of wisdom with her husband. She speaks words of wisdom to her children. She speaks words of wisdom with others. She's not one to speak anyhow. She does not lie or twist things. She also does not keep quiet when she needs to. And he should know now. He should know. If he doesn't know, then no. She speaks truth to her husband. Husbands can be zealous for us, right? But sometimes they might tend to push us out of our primary responsibility of being helper. Is that the case with me? Is that the case with you? Speak truth to your husband. No nagging, no disrespect. Speak truth. That's one. The second way of practically helping is making yourself strong for the work you need to do. Living by the truth means I tie my waist with strong cloth and I strengthen my arms for what needs to be done. Kind of reminds me of David encouraging himself in the Lord. Being a Christian wife and building my home is hard work. But the Christian woman who is living by the truth strengthens her arms for it. So when the husband clarifies the direction the family is taking, the wife helps with implementing. I ask myself, how is this going to work in our home? How do I create the atmosphere for my husband to carry out the vision and mission of our family? I am aware. I'm not sleeping. Well, of course, I sleep at night. I'm resting. But I am emotionally aware. I'm not oblivious or asleep to strange things happening in my house, and I'm not even aware. I don't know what is happening. No. Practical things like tidying up a room for the children, emotional matters like, this child, something is not right. Being spiritually attuned so that if God wants to share something, show something about my family, my inner ears are open to hear and to receive. And so between speaking truth, teaching, and being aware, 1 Timothy 3:4-12 can be achieved. 1 Timothy, the expectations for overseer and bishop and all of that, it's the woman who would help the husband be in that place where he can be an overseer. Because he says an overseer must manage his own household well and keep his children under control with complete dignity. He must be faithful to his wife and must manage his children and his household well. He cannot do this because who builds the home? It is the woman. So my question is, How am I staying in tune with the happenings in my household? How am I staying aware? How am I setting the place in motion for what I need, what my husband needs to achieve in my home? And my hashtag there is woman, Christian woman, you are an Amazon. Excellent living. This is a lot of work. This is a lot of work. But what is the blessing of living by this truth? There's one blessing. It is the blessing of fulfilling my purpose and pleasing my Creator. There's no promise that my husband will now love me as he should. Or if I do this and this, he would worship me, and he shouldn't. Should he? No, he should worship God, not me. There's no promise that if I do this or if I'm this or that, then he would love me as Christ loved the church. No, that's not my job to make that happen. I don't know that if I live by all of these truths that we have talked about, then my husband will now become all I want him to be. That's not even possible because we don't get satisfied, do we? Even I am not all I want to be. Why would I expect my husband to be all that I want him to be? So that's not the point. The goal is that I am fulfilling my purpose. Pleasing God is reward enough. The blessing of living by the truth as a Christian woman, Christian wife, I don't know about you, but I think that is more than enough because that is a blessing that keeps giving. There are all kinds of other benefits that come within this benefit of pleasing God. I will feel fulfilled. You know how you're in that place, this is where I should be. I will avoid unnecessary stress. There are all kinds of benefits. And this is where I'm going to pause and ask, what other mini benefits do we have when we live the truth of the Christian life? I'll give a few seconds for the main blessing is pleasing God. Other numerous benefits. We have yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Thank you very much, ma'am. Absolutely. Okay, living by the truth also makes you feel fulfilled and fulfilled. Man. There will be peace and unity. So in your notes, just write some of the things that might, the ones that will resonate most with you. What is that benefit that would hit you? Is there anyone else? Okay, peace of mind. That's right. Very true. Very true. Thank you. So the one blessing, pleasing God. And it is a blessing that keeps blessing. There are consequences of living on falsehood. This is the one that scares me the most, so I'm going to start with it. The helpee is not helped. If I live by falsehood, and there are all kinds of falsehoods, if I live by falsehood, it means I am not being who I should be, I am not doing what I should do. So the person I'm supposed to be helping is not helped. He is helpless. It's like the curse of Solomon's wives. As Solomon grew old, his wives turned his heart after other gods, and his heart was not fully devoted to the Lord. Solomon did not finish well because of wives. And this guy, Greg Moss, has this to say. Woman's voice is powerful to a man. I have seen men double, triple in stature by their wife's word, just as I have seen men shrink by half and run to ruin by heeding her voice. The voice of woman is powerful. So my voice here is not just talking. We know now. I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything, but the way you looked, you love to kill a lion if that was possible, right? So voice here includes look, posture, everything, everything. Even by falsehood, will ruin your man. That for me is scary, scary. The second major curse or consequence of living on falsehood is that I become part of the downward spiral. And mommy said, you set the pace, right? To become a light. Well, it's the opposite for when we live on falsehood. We become part of the downward spiral. Today we have LGBTQ plus 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 plus. We don't know where that ends. But we know that all of that ideology is able to take hold with the help of the lies, some of the lies. And there's no difference between man and woman. Everybody is the same. And before you know it, since everybody is the same, then we can switch places now. A man can become a woman become a man. I won't go into the details of that. But you see, living by falsehood makes me part of the downward slide. So will I be part of the upward climb? And when we say upward climb these days, it's not doing too many things. So in fact, it might just be maintaining common sense. That's serious these days. Would I be part of the upward climb, which would be preserving the truth, cleansing, healing, or would I be part of the easy and sweet climb down? The domino effect. So the very basic things I'm just doing with my husband, I don't know what far-reaching impact and consequences it has generations away. Meanwhile, God's purpose for my home is that I will have generational impact. So the conclusion, Proverbs 24, 3 to 4 says, through wisdom, a house is built, and by understanding, its rooms are filled with every precious and beautiful treasure. God gives wisdom to those who ask Him. But you see, I must actively seek it, I must actively look for it. He has promised that those who seek me will find me. Today, I am grateful for older women. Some don't even know that they have that impact on me. I'm grateful to friends. I'm grateful to younger women who are looking up to me and keeping me on the straight and narrow. Because I just remember, oh, somebody is watching, who have encouraged me and want me to stay on the path of truth. So just like Titus says, I would encourage older women to continue the good work of training younger women in the art of loving their husbands and children, not teaching them, take money to the market. You don't spend all of it. You keep some now. Are you foolish? No, that's not the Titus 2 woman. That's not what older women do. No. You teach the younger women to love their husbands and children. And then I would encourage younger women to be more proactive, seeking out older women who will teach wisdom and cunning rather than smart. So it's both ways. Older women do your job, younger women do your job. I want to thank God for my mother. I want to thank God for many mothers here. I will mention names, but there will be no end to it. The women who I saw were being what God wanted them to do. Every now and then I'll go to them and say, how did you do this? How? And they helped me. My friend parents too, we encourage one another. We ask ourselves questions. Excuse me, is this what man that has helped this deep? The Christian wife's lesson, living by the truth. I want us to focus on that. Let's not worry too much about the cost. Not live by falsehood. Truth and joy. I have questions to ask. We can have discussions. But I think so. Are there any questions? I not want to ask people later. A few seconds for that.
Everyone. My question goes to the issue of being spoke person. We have issues that you see the men, say younger women or you see some men are not proactive. Then the woman is taking care of herself, the children, and even him. So what can she do? How can she respond in this kind of situation that she's in danger? She's being in tune with God, let me use that word. Her husband is so how can she respond?
I think we'll just take you one for one. Thank you for that question. I can think of it in three different.
Good evening. It's a related question. You said she needs to go at some weight. Now, my question is, how long will she be waiting for the rest of the story? Something happened in my home last week concerning land. What is the last one? Only living child. Plenty land, relations, children, and he's not saying anything. So when they came, that gathering, when my children came, I'm afraid of them. They want to take all this land. What to do? This is a word. I sorry, my aunt, who I just as I don't know. I don't know. But we keep quiet. Things will go. Thank you very much, ma'am.
I hear that's the last one.
Okay, ma'am, so when you talked about how I can help, you said making myself strong for the work I need. So how do I balance going for the glow and at the same time making myself strong for the work I need?
Thank you. Well, maybe we'll try and take these first. The first question has to do with not being spokesman, and it kind of reminds me of Abigail, right? Her family was in danger. David said, God do so to me if anyone is left by this time by morning, something like that, any male in this man's heart. And what does she do? Quickly does what needs to be done, right? What I do not understand is if there was no better way or else. Nabal, right? Because that's what his name means. But he was her husband. Could she have done what needed to be done to save her household at that point while still respecting? I won't answer that question. I want you to answer by yourself. Could Abigail have done what she needed to have done while still respecting her? I personally think she could have. She did the right thing, or maybe the wrong way. Another one, it's not just when there's a fool who called Nabal as a husband. There's also the matter of those who do not even have to be. I don't know how they do it, but that is where the submission thing comes, right? For Peter. It says, even for that man that is unbelieving, by your chaste, and when we say chaste, all those in all of the submission and everything, behavior, you will shine the light of God's gospel. And that might even lead to his obeying the truth. It's not just unbelievers and Nabal husbands that have problems. Even mighty men of God husbands have needs. And the picture that comes to mind is Zipporah. Remember that place in the Bible where up until now it's not even clear. It's as if it was theologians will help us in this. It says, and they were on the way, and the angel of death came because the child was not circumcised, and he was going to kill him. What did Moses do? We don't know. We don't know what he did. But it took Zipporah to do what needed to be done. So she was aware. She was not sleeping. So she did what needed to be done. I'm not sure the implication of the entire group of blood to me, but she did what needed to be done while still being. So it's a tough situation. There are times when we might need to step in to do things. That's, if you remember, I said something about it doesn't stop me from growing into all that I should be, but it is all under. I don't go beyond my head. That's the principle. I don't go beyond my head. So what things I need to do, and once in a while, those are exceptions, right? Those are exceptions. I will do them in submission. There's a proper way to do these things. I hope that is helpful. And there's a part of how long for response. without nagging, just wait. Um, Sending a reminder once in a while, like I said, without nagging, right? If you are like me, I can be very impatient. I asked you a question, but I am coming to be more comfortable with waiting for my husband to answer. That's you see that thing about quiet spirit. I want it now, but he's thinking it through. So I'm going to have to grow in patience. Hey, but what about emergencies? Really an emergency? If it is really an emergency, I need to help you see that it's an emergency. But the truth is, there are many things that we think are emergencies that are not emergencies. Note to self. There are many things that I feel are emergencies. Okay. There are things that we feel are emergencies that are not necessarily emergencies. If they are really emergencies, then I'm going to trust God for wisdom to help you see it. That's an emergency. Otherwise, I'm going to just have to keep growing and being patient to wait for it. I know that's not very comforting, but yes, how long do I wait for the response? I will not lie. Um, and it kind of, I think it goes into the third one. Why are you not talking? I mean, it's not just about you now. We are going to suffer the consequences of your not talking about this land. Once again, wisdom. As a wise woman builds a house. And what did we see again? God gives wisdom to those who seek it. So there's no one answer to this. It is wisdom for that. Then, okay. Thank you. I didn't want to disturb my husband.
Maybe I will help. Silence is speech. When your husband is silent, what language is he speaking? You are his wife. Have you learned to interpret his silence? No man keeps silent just like that. I didn't know until I had my own family why my father was silent. So silence is speech. I think you need to grow in interpreting silence. God keeps silence sometimes. It's speech.
Thank you. God keeps silent sometimes. I think that I will write down. God keeps silent. And when God keeps silent, what do? We wait. Or we keep praying. He doesn't mind that, thankfully. God doesn't mind that. The balance between low and strong. See, this is one of those places where it is as per your context. I'm not very physically strong. That's why I pick things I need to do and break down easily. But I am very passionate. So sometimes the passion runs ahead of me. And so my body suffers for it because I don't have commensurate physical strength to hold my passion. So it's you need to know where you are. So one, I know I need to take care of myself. If I'm not just take care of myself minimally, I need to grow. I need to grow for him. On the other hand, I need to make myself strong for the task. And you see, making myself strong for the task, you see, we said there were many different aspects, right? Some of them do not require physical strength. Just being mentally and emotionally alert, all of that. So, like I said, that balance we're talking about is on a context basis. What the balance would be for me was not the same thing as it. But you need to know yourself. to know myself. I said, okay, when I start going past this, if it is my job, if it is the job I need to do, then I generally should have the strength. I think the problem comes in where I start going to things that are not my job to do. I don't remember who said, sometimes we take care of ourselves, we take care of our children, we take care of our husbands. I am not, it's not my job to take care of my husband. Yes, it's not my job to provide. No. You know this thing about 50-50, right? Bring 50, I bring 50. That is not scriptures. This question of what are you bringing to the table? You know my favorite answer? I am the table. So what do you mean, what are you bringing to the table? I am the table. So if we stick with being who God has made us to be and seeing how with wisdom we're able to now do the things that need to be done so that we are able to should be, I think there will be strength enough for that, and then take breaks so that we know we are growing, because growing wise is what we should be. So God will give us wisdom to find that balance. Some husbands are not Christians, some are not responsible. If such a husband asks me as a wife to submit my salary, should I go ahead and submit? Considering that if I give him, he will drink and leave us with hunger. Okay, so you see, that's the problem with when you get good, when you get help. You ask for help again. So I'm going to be asking my husband for help on this as well. One question I would want to ask out of this is, if my husband asks me as a wife to submit my salary, should I go ahead and submit? Should I be submitting my salary to my husband? I'm just asking. I'm just asking. Is it my job to feed my family? No. No. But what if my children should go hungry and die? I will give this to my husband to help me. Thank you.
I think scripture tries to help us with principles so that we can solve something. Beyond the principles of scripture, have the church. So when things are tough and we don't know what to do, call to the gathering of the believers. From there, we get to decide to solve that particular matter. So it's not possible that you will be here, let's say in a church like this, come to pastor, because he let us, we cannot find a solution. That something is wrong with this church. We have the Spirit of God, be able to find a solution that honors God and solves that problem. So often I think we think we are alone in some of these issues. When it's very troublesome, you can't handle it alone. That is no longer your own load. It's now a burden. You cannot bear a burden alone. You attend it to the church. So my own is that if you have a particularly difficult situation, that's what the church is. Whether it's in the zonal group or fellowship pastors or this, all the leaders, then we take it among people. If after communion we say we have a problem, that's so all communicant members give. This is the problem. We will find a solution. If we don't find a solution, we'll go into fasting and start praying and see. Because some things are so tough that we have to seek God's face in the people. Say, God, honestly, this thing is beyond us. We don't know what to do with this woman and her husband. He will give us a solution. So that is what I believe that we have a church.
Yes, I think that answers. Don't bear burdens that are not yours. That is all. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
God to say thank you, man, for invite someone to come tomorrow. Don't miss tomorrow. Good evening. Thankful to God for blessing our hearts this evening. Just as we close words, one of us involved in an accident. Paul is actually for us that are here already. That is why we're mentioning. So, pray together. One of us, Mr. Moses, involved in an accident. When we spoke with that group, prayer to choose. I want to take time to take the word of God. We don't have more details other than what I've just told. I want to just invite us to bow our heads and our hearts, that which we know we cannot do by ourselves. That's our God who is loving, sovereign. Go ahead of us. Perhaps by now they should be at team of medical experts that will be in this ones. There are three actually that were involved in the backlash. God will cause that things will work in our favor. Mighty Father, we know indeed that which is impossible with man is possible. Church were united in thought, in purpose, and in prayer, seeking for your Son alongside two others that were involved in the accident this evening. Merciful to us, merciful to your church. Go ahead of us, O God. Discuss that we enjoy your mercy. Pray, O God, doctors and nurses that will be seeing them, grant them a sense of judgment and wisdom in crisis. Pray that as a church you give us calmness of heart to trust you that you are working it out. Thank you because even as we wait for more updates, may the update be better. So Lord, at this moment, this is all we are asking. Go ahead of us, you will intervene and cause that this situation to be arrested and things to be. Thank you, our Father, the one who is able to do that which we are not. We choose to rest in the assurance of your word. How with us you are with our brother, be with them through this. Lord, as we close this evening, join the blessing